Hey, Mike with Rove Pest Control here. And a common question we get is, how does wind affect pest control? So stay tuned to find out. So wind can actually play a couple different factors when it comes to pests and pest control, where some pests are going to gain advantages from high wind speeds and then others are going to get disadvantages. So it varies greatly depending on the pest and what can really happen. So at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, they actually did a study where they were testing how wind would affect Asian lady beetles and feeding on, pests and aphids that live on crops. So what they did is they erected barriers around different cornfields so it would reduce wind speeds, and they found that the lower the wind speed, the much easier it was for these Asian lady beetles to eat the aphids that were hanging out on the corn stalks. So again, it really increased the population of the Asian lady beetles because it was just an easy food source for them to get. And it really makes sense, right? The faster the wind blows, the more crazy the corn stalks in this example are going to be blowing around, and the harder it is for these beetles to land on them and grab a decent meal. So in this instance, what happens, and really is happening as a whole over the world, is that wind speeds are slowing down. People are building more and more buildings, getting more and more cities built, planting more trees that were cut down, hundreds of years ago to try and balance things out again. And this is really slowing down wind speeds. So again, Asian lady beetles, they're not the only pests that are going to be affected. And they can kind of be a natural form of pest control when it comes to this situation that we're talking about. But again, as temperatures drop, it heads towards winter. Where are these Asian lady beetles going to go? They're probably going to go into your home, a lot of them. And so again, this could do great to, eliminate some pest issues around crops in this scenario, but at the same time, when it turns wintertime, that could cause more pest issues for you as these beetles are looking for a place to hide out and hibernate during the winter. On top of that, another common thing that happens is it affects how pests can travel, right? So if wind speeds are really high, it makes it a lot harder for some pests to build nests and expand kind of their territory, right? So a couple examples would be like wasps and bees. The harder the winds are blowing, it's going to make it harder for wasps to be able to, fight against that, right? Fly against that. And not only that, it's going to be harder for them to gather materials on different trees and wood and fences, and then again be able to transport those materials to build nests other places. So the more windy it is, the less likely it is that they're going to be able to travel to different places. But then it's kind of the opposite effect as well. So if it's calmer winds, the easier it is they're going to be able to spread from house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood. So again, overall, the wind speeds have dramatically been lowering in most cases. So again, it makes it easier for them to spread and, fan out and get to new locations. Other things to keep in mind too, though, is if there's big wind gusts or maybe there's a super windy day, that can also assist in some pests transporting to new areas and new habitats. So a couple of examples, they actually found that in one case, a butterfly was actually traveling near 60 miles an hour with the aid of different wind currents and speeds and with little effort of its own, right? So it was kind of plugging into those drafts, those air speeds, and it really was making them go incredibly fast. So that was one interesting thing that can happen with wind speeds and pests. But other issues, for example, come in the form of spiders. And you might not have heard of it before, but some spiders do what's called ballooning, and what they'll do is they'll climb up to a high location, whether that's on plants or maybe fences or homes, and then they'll shoot their webs up into the air. And if it's an incredibly windy day, what can happen is these strands of their silk webs can get caught in the air currents, and it can lift these spiders up and help them to reach new locations. And they can actually travel for miles. Sometimes spiders, groups of them have been caught up in like the upper atmosphere, and in certain scenarios, it's actually rain spiders. As terrifying as that sounds. So again, it's something to keep in mind that they use it as a means of transportation. And this time of year as well, a common pest are box elder bugs. And normally they're going to hide out in trees, box elder trees, ash trees, maple trees, different things like that. And of course, if their habitat is not really anywhere near homes, they're not going to really cause issues. But what can happen is if there's high wind speeds, they can take advantage of that, like the butterfly I was talking about earlier, where they can fly a lot further, benefiting from the wind speeds, and then they can actually end up getting to your house. So this can lead to more, migration of these different pests further out than they're normally used to, and then they can, again, get into your home and start causing issues. So it really depends on the situation, right? What pests we're talking about, what abilities they have for flight, and what, tactics they're going to use to take advantage of it. So some scenarios, like I said, it can actually help pests out if there's high wind speeds, and then others it can hinder them. So it really depends on the situation, but more so pay attention to when there's drastic changes, right? So if it's been windy for a week or two and then it's ridiculously not windy, right? There's no wind for a few days, or vice versa. That's really when pests can start to make a change and shift, and you can run into pest issues. So again, hopefully you guys got some benefit and value out of this video. If you did, feel free to comment and share. And if you are a first-time customer with us, be sure to head on over to rovepestcontrol.com/50 off and enter your information for $50 off our first service with us. So if you have specific pest issues you're looking to treat, maybe you want to set up a maintenance program or whatever the case might be, again, as a first-time customer, head to rovepestcontrol.com/50 off and enter your information for that great discount. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll talk to you more soon.